Well, good afternoon, folks. This is Jim Hodson. I'm here at the Fort Worth Aviation Museum, home to the most touchable warbirds in Texas. We're here today to show you the new arrival of our AV-8A C model Harrier, which is right here. Just arrived this morning. The rest of the aircraft is going to be in later in the week. Hi, Mick. Glad to have you with us. Mick was out in California, actually was helping out there bring this airplane back, or prepare to bring it back. Also got Orville Ward. Glad to see you. The airplane just got back this morning, and we craned it off of the truck. You'll be seeing videos on that, I'm sure, later on. This is a very unusual AV-8. This is actually one of the first four. I'm going to step back so you can get kind of a complete overview of the airplane. This is one of the first four that was assigned to the Marine Corps. It was built in the UK. It's an A model, not the McDonnell Douglas. This is actually a Hawker Siddeley model airplane, and this was one of the first four. So we have pictures of this on the HMS Hermes when it was doing some carrier suitability testing. And then we know that it was assigned to the Marine Corps, to a couple of different Marine Corps squadrons, but for a very short period of time. It went to Pax River and did some evaluation there. We think it may have also spent some time with, hi Bob, it may also have spent some time with VX-5 out at China Lake, but we know most of its career was with NASA at the Moffett Field facility up in San Francisco. They did a lot of wind tunnel testing with it and those kinds of things. As you can see, the wing is off. You can also see the nose gear is off. And we'll walk around and you'll see that the tail and the vertical stabilizer are also off of the airplane for right now. Some of these items are here, but the wing is not. The wing is still in California. We had some issues with its size and geometry, getting it on trucks and that kind of thing. So I'm going to go over here and show you a little bit. This did come from the Flying Leatherneck Museum. This is belongs to the Navy, and that's why we have it right now. The Navy rotates some of their aircraft from time to time, and we were asked if we would like to have this aircraft with us, and we said absolutely yes. It was much more difficult to bring back than we thought. It was a real challenge, a number of different things, some of them funny, some of them not so funny, but one of them was we were very concerned about having the right tools for the airplane, and assumed that it was going to be a metric airplane, and it turns out it wasn't. So we had all kinds of metric tools out there, but not many tools that we could use, so we had to do that while we were there. Hey Mick, great working with you last week. That comes from John Colvin. And John was out in California for almost the entire week. We had some people in the cockpit today. It's a very small cockpit. If you're familiar with the A4, it is probably about the size of the A4, actually a little bit smaller. This one does have the engine in it, and they did an interesting thing on the display here. If you can see through the plexiglass, that they've got a plexiglass cover on the intake, so you can actually see the engine in this airplane. The engine is designed, or the airplane is designed so that you take the wing off of the airplane and you take the engine up right out of the top of the airplane. I don't know if I can hold it up high enough so that you can see much of it, but I'm going to try to do that a little bit so you can see. It's a Pegasus engine. The entire airplane, this being an A model, weighed about 12,600 pounds with the engine and dry, the empty weight of the airplane. So the big thing, obviously, is that this is a jump jet, which means it could do vertical takeoff and landing. It could also do conventional, but these are the nozzles. These are the primary nozzles. Mick says he hoped to go this morning, but he injured himself. Sorry to hear that. They're going to be working on the wing tomorrow out in California to try to resize it to be able to fit it on a truck properly, to be able to get it back here this week. And maybe we'll be able to have a winging party next week. We'll see how that goes. Yes, and Devin, you're right. The airplane is in excellent conditions. Okay, and John is telling us that the aft of the engine was a water tank. Sometimes used water injection for a number of things. So the nozzles, as it stands right now, the nozzle is in a position for a vertical. So as we walk back here towards the back of the airplane, we can show you a couple of interesting things about the Harrier, and that's right here in the tail. We don't have the wings, so we can't show you all of that, but right here is part of the controls for being able to maneuver the airplane. They called them puffers and a number of other things, but you can see that part of the controls would allow you to open an area which would allow exhaust to go through here, so that this can control some of the up and down movement of the tail, as well as left and right. If I can get that so where you can see it. So this is left and right. Now it's also got these same things in the wingtips for being able to do that. But as we walk around the airplane and get back to the front, I'm going to show you what the primary instrument, or one of the most important instruments on the airplane was. See if we can spin around so you can get a tail view here. The airplane is about 46 feet long, has a 26-foot wingspan. And you'll notice it's got central fuselage landing gear on it. It also has what are referred to as outriggers. Thanks, Jim. Welcome home, Harrier. Yes. It has outriggers on the wings that keep it stable, and you'll see those when we get the wing back. The outriggers of it, so it can stay stable on the ground. Tail's off, vertical stabilizer is off. A lot of work was done out in California to get this ready to be here. We're very, very happy to have this airplane here, and it does fit our collection. This airplane was used not only as a ground attack airplane. Let's see, remember them from the early days at Cherry Point, and that's from George Everett. So, yeah, I'm sure you do, George. So as we just do a little bit of a walk around here, and the camera's getting a mind of its own again. I thought that only happened to Gary, but sometimes to me. Going to show you something here, and then we're going to take this is a quick one that we're going to do this morning, and these are inlets, these suck-in doors that when it was in hover and that kind of things, these doors open and close to allow more air into the engine. Now, one of the things with this airplane is that the exhaust is very hot. So it was designed to be able to be used with the ground Marines out in the field, but they had problems sometimes on asphalt. If they stayed on the asphalt too long, the exhaust would pretty much melt the asphalt itself. I want to show you the primary instrument here for this airplane. And those of you who've been around Harriers know this quite well. This is one of the primary instruments, this wind vane, for the pilots. So they could look out the window from the cockpit, and they wanted to make sure that the wind vane was down and didn't get very far left or right, because if they got out of a limit of, I think it's about 5 degrees, I'm not quite sure because I didn't fly Harriers, but if they got out of limits while they were in a hover, they ran the risk of the airplane rolling over. This is an A model. Yes, it is an A model, and it was converted to a C model. I'm not sure what all is involved in that. I know a lot of you probably know a lot more about it than I do. But this is our Harrier. This one, as I mentioned early on, is very rare. Yes, it is an AOA vane. It's not an angle of attack vane, but it's really a vane to show what direction the wind is across the airplane when it's in a hover and in its vertical takeoff and landing. So we're going to do more about this airplane next week when we've got the wing here. But for right now, we also did some exciting news this week on the YF-16, and I've got Kevin Renshaw here, and we're going to take just a few minutes to talk about the big development with that. So Kevin, good morning.
Good morning. Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you.
We had a big day today. Something we've been looking forward to for the last month or two here is we got the airplane out of the rig that it's been sitting in for the last 35 years. It had been in this big steel frame, if you remember our last video. We wanted to get it up and out of that. That meant we had all the fuselage structure buttoned up. Everything's back together. We had a logistics thing. We had to get our jack pads serviced so that we could get the airplane safely up on jacks. We did that this morning while we had the crane here unloading the Harrier. We said, hey, we're ready to move the YF-16 out of that frame. So they repositioned the crane real quick. We had all the strap points already located on the airplane, so they picked it up and we put it on the jack stands. Now what that'll let us do is have access to the landing gear bays, so we can clean those up, get those repainted, and then we'll put the main and nose landing gear back under it. So for the first time in the last 40 years, the lady will be back on her own feet.
It's great. Let's go take a look at it. I've been using the camera to take pictures of the other stuff here this morning, so my battery is just a little bit low. But so the big deal from here now is going to be putting it on its own landing gear, right? Correct.
So we want to clean out the wheel wells. You see some gray stuff in there, just dirt and a little bit of corrosion from the long time it was in that fitting. We'll get that up on its gear here. We've check fitted all the pins. One of the amazing parts, I think I talked about this on a previous recording, was that this mount and these two mounts here, even though this is the prototype airplane, the pins are all exactly the same as the production airplane.
It's really amazing.
The guy that designed the landing gear said it worked. He had no reason to change it.
There you go.
So it worked good.
It's not broke, don't fix it, right?
Yeah, we'll be taking the rest of these steel plates off. We just hadn't gotten to that today. These holes here are where the wing bolts on.
Okay.
There's two more sets hiding behind these steel plates.
Perfect.
There's 4 main wing carry-through load attach points. We'll be putting the wings on. The tail will slide in, the horizontal tails. And you can see we've been doing a lot of patches. You see lots of spots of zinc chromate where we worked out corrosion on the airplane. We'll eventually be stripping all the paint, painting it back into the red, white, and blue paint job it wore for the air show in 1975.
It's terrific. So this has been a very big day for us here today, bringing the Harrier in, and now with the YF-16 starting to look more and more like an airplane.
Yes, it's good to get it out of that frame. It's no longer a test fixture.
Right.
When we get it on its own wheels, it'll really start to look like an airplane and hang the rest of the surfaces back on it.
Well, that's terrific. I appreciate that. So, Kevin, thanks for being with us here this morning.
You're welcome.
Okay. So just a little bit more of an update on the Mohawk. The Mohawk is en route, and it should be here later this coming week. So next weekend we're probably going to show you more about the wing of the Harrier. We may even try to do a winging and put the wing on the Harrier next week. But the Mohawk will be here. We'll have an opportunity to show you that. Unusual Mohawk in that it served here in Texas. It was the gate guard at Fort Hood for a period of time. But what really makes this one special is 2 of the Mohawks were sent to Israel to be part of the Israeli Air Force. And they were converted into, I believe it was referred to as an EV model. And the one that we are receiving, or that we have now and is en route, was one of those 2, and the only other one was destroyed in a fire. So we will have a very unusual Mohawk in that it served with the Israeli Air Force, and it also served with the U.S. Army and here in Fort Hood. So it's a Texas airplane. So I know this is a little short today. There's been a lot of activity here, a bunch of people on the road, just getting back. But I wanted to update you and give you an idea of what's going on with the Harrier and that it's here. Very good part of the collection. They were used as forward air control airplanes as well as being controlled by forward air controllers. So we're really happy that the Navy chose us to bring this airplane here and have it for all the people here in North Texas to be able to see. Jump jet is a very unusual part of aviation, and this is one of the very, very first of those to come here to the United States. So, from the Fort Worth Aviation Museum, home to the most touchable warbirds in Texas, I'm Jim Hodson. Thanks for being with us today. Again, we're open Saturdays 9 until 2, and it's gotten to be pretty sunny today. It's getting a lot better. This morning it was pretty cold. So thank you all for being with us. Mick, thanks for helping us out in California. John, you too. I didn't get everybody who was on here, but if it had not been for a bunch of you folks in California, the Harrier wouldn't be here. That's pretty simple. It's a pretty simple statement to make, and it's also very true. So thanks a lot. And this is going to be kind of a people's airplane with all the folks that are helping in California and some folks that were here. One quick note, we had a gentleman just happened to stop in today, Mark, and I don't remember his last name, but he had flown Harriers. The last time he was in one was like 1990, I think he said. He had 300 hours in a Harrier just happened to stop by today, and we got him in the cockpit and did one of the things that we do best, which is we make old men cry here. So thanks for being with us. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you next week.